Hi, listeners. My name is Alyssa. I am the host of Stories and Spoilers, the podcast. And this special episode is with an up and coming author who has a new book coming out very soon. This is Mia Kate. Mia, tell them more about yourself.
Hi, so my name is Mia. I'm a 17-year-old author from the UK. I've been writing literally forever, and my book is coming out this year, so it's very exciting.
That is so cool. When the stars aligned, you have so many complex characters. I love all the edits you've been making on social media about what they are about, their interests, how they know each other. What can you tell us about when the stars aligned?
So when the stars aligned is basically the way I kind of market it to literally anyone is if you like Greek mythology,
Ooh.
this is your book. So it's essentially set in a world where the stars kind of send out letters to everyone. Stars are these kind of omniscient figures, sort of like the Fates, but in my own style a little bit. And they send out letters to everyone when they turn 16, telling them who their soulmate is and when they're going to die. So it's kind of as a punishment to the human race, as like you thought that you could determine what you could do on your own, not anymore. And it follows this friend group who find everything out and then they have to go through everything together. So it's kind of a romance, but sort of a coming of age thing. And yeah.
That sounds absolutely amazing. One of my questions for you was what inspired this element of your book? The
Mm-hmm.
element of the stars and kind of fate, but also like you don't have much time. What was the big element of that? Is it like a Greek tragedy where it's like everything is
Yeah.
great until it's not?
Yeah. So obviously Greek mythology, and then that kind of weird obsession that I feel like we all have with sad endings and kind of not really knowing what's going to happen because all throughout the book you're told when all the characters are going to die, and
Yeah.
so kind of that, like, is it actually going to happen? Did she actually do it, or like what? She's messing with
Ooh.
us, right? But
Okay.
yeah. Sad
Is this
endings.
a standalone or are you hoping for this to become a series?
If I can find the motivation, it may possibly be a series. But no, I was
Understood.
hoping. I have ideas for not really sequels, but sort of spin-offs with the same characters or prequels of the same kind of nature. But
Oh,
can't promise
okay.
anything.
No, that's ex extremely exciting. One of my favorite edits that you've done was about the main characters. You made little blurbs about who they are.
Mhm.
The main characters, Juniper and Maeve, are friends. What
Yeah.
inspired your major main characters, and what's something that readers could expect from this love story?
So my main character is actually inspired by my best friend from secondary
Oh,
school. Um, Her name is Mel. So hi Mel, if you're watching. And we basically just spent so much time together, and she kind of shaped me in a way that I feel like no one else has. I was like, you get a character. Um, and so Maeve and Juniper are obviously very friends to lovers, which is my favorite trope because it's just so pure, and I feel like that really lends itself well to the soulmates thing because it's kind of a this is the person that's been there all along, and that's who you're supposed to end up with, which I think is really, really beautiful. Um, their love story. um, Expect extreme highs and extreme lows is basically what I can say without being
okay.
too spoilery.
No, I love it. And this, of course, is a non-spoiler episode. It's just kind of giving listeners a taste of what this book is kind of going to be about when it comes out. When the stars aligned, when I first kind of saw the first edit of it and got to get to know you a little bit better, um, I just see like it's giving a little bit of like dark academia vibes,
Yeah,
which I love. I eat
I
that
did
up.
something right.
I absolutely love it. Yes, you did something
Mhm.
amazing. Also like it did kind of remind me of like for lovers who like really enjoy the world building of like S.T. Gibson, but
Yeah.
also really love like romance like Hannah Bonham Young, like when you love
Yeah.
like a good charismatic romance, I feel like your
Mhm.
book is going to be the perfect
Yeah.
combination of both. I signed up to be an ARC reader so fast. I went through your entire edit and I was like, so can I have it? Please give it to me.
Please.
Yes. So
No,
I was so enthralled. Yeah, because
I feel
from
like
what you've
it's
written
so
and
much
shared,
fun.
it looks good.
I feel like with the like world building of Dark Academia and stuff, this book so is mashups of things. Like I was like, how can I have every single thing that I like in one book? And kind of did it.
I
So
feel like I kind of want to know more about that. What do you mean by every single thing that you like? Like, what are some tropes you've poured into this book that you're like, finally, it all comes together?
Yeah, so it's kind of I hate to say it, but right person, not enough time.
Ooh.
Sort of dark academia, obviously Greek mythology, like fate, all of these kind of magical things that are set in more of a realistic world. So
Ooh,
it's kind
okay.
of, and I think that's what makes books so tragic. If it's something that in it's put in like fantasy worlds, so then it's sort of out of reach. But when you put it on the backdrop of a real place, it kind of makes it a little bit more real and a bit, oh, that's quite scary and sad actually.
I think there's something really beautiful about like a love story that has tragedy in it. Like maybe one person has like it's like they're in different times. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, how are you
Yeah.
gonna be together? Or
Mm-hmm.
it's situations where like there's a miscommunication between like what the person meant and what they actually said, or
Yeah.
just like timing in life. Like Normal People is the first book to show adaptation I ever saw, where it was like, this is tragic. Not because they're bad people, but because it just was about timing, it was about communication. They were in different places in their lives. It just broke my that to me gave very much like modern Greek tragedy because like it wasn't for a lack of love.
Yeah, it's the worst.
I will never recover. I feel like it's like the same vibes like Tiger King. It's like I will never financially recover from this. Like all of the books that I'm gonna read now to fill this
Yeah.
hole inside of me.
Mhm.
Your book is gonna like hurt you, but you're gonna be happy about it. I'm
Yeah.
totally okay with it. If anyone understands that reference, you're gonna be hurt, but you're gonna be happy about it. It's literally put it in the
Oh.
comments, but I hope someone
Mm.
remembers that reference. I will not say it. That will be my non-spoiler element. But my next question for you is if you could compare your book to a rom-com, what would it be most like and why? I love seeing movies compared to books. Like if you love this movie, read this book. So if you have a movie you could compare to your upcoming book, what movie would it be?
So I think setting wise, like if you
Mhm.
wanted to watch something to be able to visualize it better, because I know a lot of people struggle with visualizing, Dead Poets Society, and the kind
Ooh.
of school aspect of that. And then something is making me want to say Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which
Wow.
I don't know if you can really call it a rom com because it is gut wrenching, but there's
Yeah.
something funny there. But and I don't know if that's just because I watched it recently, but that kind of like will they, won't they thing, but in more of a sad way. I
Oh
think that,
my
and
gosh.
then I did think of one earlier, but I really can't remember it. That's what I'm going to go with. Eternal Sunshine as well as Mind.
My senior quote in high school was actually from Dead Poet Society. It was from the
Wow.
speech that he did, that Robin Williams did. He was like kneeling down in front of all the boys,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, "We need doctors, we need lawyers,
Yes.
we need artists." I was like, ah, like teenage me was like wig
Yeah.
snatched, crying in my bed, like,
Mm-hmm.
what job do I choose? What college do I go to?
Yeah.
It's not a phase, mom. It was literally that cringy, like, I feel so much, but no one
Mm-hmm.
understands me. It
Mm-hmm.
was literally that. So me and my little candle that smells like rain, reading my
Yeah.
sad books in my sad bed. So it's just, but oh my God, a book that has the vibes of that. I'm excited
Mm-hmm.
and I'm scared because for anyone who's seen Dead Poet Society, I will not spoil it, but you'll feel so much joy for the characters, like the friendships, but then you'll
Mm-hmm.
also like your heart's gonna break.
It's rough. It's really
Oh, it's
rough.
rough. It's rough. And it's also like mental health rep is so important
Mm-hmm.
in like movies, shows, books. Um, man, I went into that movie blind. So now you're telling me that your book is kind of like matching the setting,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, are you saying I'm gonna cry? And you're like,
Maybe.
maybe. You're like, maybe.
it
I don't
it
know.
might. I
You're
mean,
literally the author. I'm like, well, are you gonna hurt me? And you're like,
I don't
maybe.
know. I
I
didn't.
don't
I didn't
know.
write
You're just gonna have to
it.
read to find out. So it's that's I hear you and I'm ready to get hurt. I'm sure listeners are out there like are down for a little sad story with like a
Mm-hmm.
heartbreaking, heart romantic moment.
Yeah.
I did want to know, do you have any favorite books that have influenced your writing, specifically for When the Stars Aligned? Were there any books you read where you're like, oh, I love that. I might
Mm.
just use that as a little
So
inspiration.
yeah, for the kind of dark academia aspect of it again, the Atlas Six, 100%, and kind of group like aspect of it, and that idea of having a really big cast of characters that you get to know, like all of them individually, and then Percy Jackson, the whole Percy Jackson series, with
Ooh.
kind of where my like love for Greek mythology came from, because it was so like condensed and not childish but palatable to younger people. That kind of was when I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then it's not a book, well, obviously like original source material is, but the Hercules Disney movie
You know
because
what?
of
I
Fates.
love that.
So good.
Well, because of the strings, like the scene where he has to
Yeah.
dive into the water in order
Mm-hmm.
to like save her.
Yeah.
Seeing him age super fast.
Mm-hmm. Really scary.
Um, oh, and like I don't think we acknowledge it enough. Like growing up and watching Disney movies, even though I don't watch them now, but and there's no shame for people who do. It's just I don't support Disney at this point. But I will say this, Percy Jackson, those books, even the Heroes of Olympus, like the spin-off series,
Mm-hmm.
um, I cared about Hazel in that series. I cared about like some I won't spoil it, but there are certain characters in the series who have a curse on them, and you
Yeah.
see how that affects their life. So it's like you grow up and you get so attached to these
Mm-hmm.
characters that it's cool that you're now writing a series that you're making characters who are just as impactful to readers, who
Yeah.
are going to be just as like enchanting as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
Annabeth, we should not have loved her as much as we did because she wasn't super nice to him in the beginning.
Who
But
wasn't?
the books go on, we end up like loving her,
She's
which is
pretty
really
good.
cool. Also, for the readers who know, Percy and Annabeth go through some hard stuff, bro. Their love story goes through some hard stuff, bro. So only the real ones will get it. I can't
Mm-hmm.
spoil it. That's like one of the biggest book spoilers I think you could do is
Mm-hmm.
saying what happens to Percy and Annabeth in
Yeah.
the end.
Final
But
book's not fun.
it's
It's
not.
not.
It's
Not fun.
painful. You should have known the moment you started Sea of Monsters, like you're like, mm, it's
Something's
getting
not quite right.
darker. It's getting darker in here. It's the same thing with like the Harry Potter movies where like you could literally see the introduction, each film gets physically
Yeah.
darker.
Mm-hmm.
Even the
Mm.
books, like the tone changes. And like I think it was it like book 3 or 4, the tone would change.
Yeah.
I was like,
You just know something's up.
oh no. But
Oh,
yes,
someone's plotting.
even with like City of Bones, like the Immortal Instruments, like I also noticed that
Mm.
series had dark elements, but it didn't get super dark until like book 2, book 3.
It's so
Hear me
clever.
out. I
So
have a
smart.
theory.
Oh.
100%. I have a theory. I think some authors like bring you in and like make you feel safe and comfortable and everything's good and
Mm.
happy. And then by book 2 or 3, you're like,
Hmm. I've
um,
been conned.
someone dimmed the lights in here. So why does it smell like Sirius Black's gonna die? Oh no.
Oh
It
my
literally
god.
you feel safe. You feel like, oh my God, Harry finally found a relative who cares about him and is gonna
Everything's
stick around.
fine.
And then bam, they literally kill your joy
Not
immediately.
fun.
And they make Sirius look so evil and horrible. And then in the back of my mind, I'm like, he's a good man. He just has a bad backstory. Same thing with just the whole like I would have loved an entire book when I was a teenager about like Harry's parents and
Yes.
like the whole
Yes.
crew. Like I would have loved a book about that, but I guess we're never
Mm-hmm.
gonna get it. We're never gonna get it. And you know what? I don't support J.K. Rowling at this point. I don't, but I in the past, she was the only wizard like author I had at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for a lot of people, like magic. And it's like now there's more magical fantasy books coming out, so you have
Yeah.
options. So your book I'm excited about because it does give that element of like Greek mythology, like are we doomed? If we
Yeah.
fight, if we make a plan, can we escape?
Mm-hmm.
And the fates, is it like is when you were writing it, did you have a visual in your mind of like how you saw the story happening, or was it more like you wrote the words down and the story kind of happens? Because I like this theory where people imagine things in their head. Like when they read a
Mm.
book, they have visions in their mind, like a movie. Some people just see words. So I'm
Yeah.
curious, which one are
That's
you?
crazy. I have a very overactive imagination. So I fully see like a movie, like 360 view. I started writing this book when I was, I want to say 14.
Oh
I'm
wow.
nearly 18.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it's been a while. And so I think I kind of sat with it for quite a long time because it was during like lockdown and COVID and everything. And so it was a very escapism type of thing. And so I kind of had these characters in my head and this landscape in my head. And I was like, how can I write this down? So they kind of were
Mhm.
already there when I was writing. And so I can really see it when I'm like
Wow.
writing stuff down. But yeah, I don't know where I would be if I couldn't visualize things because I just don't understand how to do
Seriously.
it.
There are people out there who just see words.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like,
I don't
that's
understand it.
boring.
Exactly. And that's why I can see why
Crazy.
some people would say reading is boring because they only see
Yeah,
words. Versus for
exactly.
like you and me and like other listeners,
Hmm.
like they can, when you read, it's like a movie, like a big screen, but it's
Yeah,
all around you.
yeah.
So cool. So I guess my next question is side characters. In your book, it seems very complex. Um, what inspired some of your side characters? Because there were a few descriptions I was like, ooh, this is very
Mhm.
specific and I love it. Are they also inspired by your friends?
Yeah. So
Oh,
one of the side characters, her name's Venus, is inspired by my friend Valerie,
that's so
who
cute.
also was just a very big part of my life, and I decided you need to be on paper forever. Um and so the rest of them are sort of like mixes of people that I've met before, mixes of people in shows, books, like stuff like that. Um the One of the teachers in it is inspired by my old English teacher who like literally just
Oh.
forced me to write this book down. So had to get him in it as well. But yeah, no, I think that I don't think I did it on purpose, making my side characters so complex. I think it's just something that comes naturally to me because I'd like to think that I'm quite an empathetic person. So it's kind of a just I struggle not giving every single character a really complex backstory and a really like I can't not know everything about this person. Like
Yeah.
it's just kind of a natural like this is every single thing about this person that you need to know. And I'm always worried that my characters won't be understood in the way that I wanted them to. But then I also want people to have their own interpretation. So it's a difficult like middle ground. But yeah, no, they definitely are complex, and I think that that's good.
Do you have a side character you're most excited for everyone to meet?
Ooh, I think that everyone's gonna love Eden, who comes in later in the book and isn't there for very long, but she's important nonetheless. And
Mhm.
then everyone's take on Milo, I think, because Milo can be a little bit controversial. But I wrote him that way for a reason, and I hope that he's received how he was meant to be.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to like read your book. I also wanted to know that you discuss it in such passion. What is your
Mm.
favorite part of writing? And do you have any tips for authors out there or aspiring authors?
Yeah, so funnily enough, my favorite part of writing isn't actually the writing part. um,
Oh,
it's kind of plotting and world building and making characters, and that's kind of part of my like huge imagination thing. Um, it's making these new worlds and then seeing how these characters fit into it, but then also kind of the writing part, but specifically when I get to do big pieces of like description of a character or description of setting and
ooh,
things like that. So that's pretty cool. And then
ooh.
advice for writers would probably be, and I think I would say this about any hobby that you take up, people are always going to tell you to write a certain thing or to make it like marketable. Like if you would speak to someone and you tell them your book idea and they don't like it, or they think it's not like anything that they've seen before, they're going to tell you to make it marketable. Like, would people actually want to read this? Like, are your characters relatable enough? Like, because there's so many tropes out there and because there's so many books out there that a lot follow the same sort of like tropes and character dynamics. I think that it's so important to just write what you want to write and your stories, because stories can be so personal and based on personal events. I think that it's really important to write exactly what you want, and I promise you, you will find someone who wants to read it. There's going to be at least one person out there who wants to read your book, which I've discovered recently, which is quite cool.
That's awesome. I agree that like there are certain genres where people will be like, I don't think anyone's gonna read this, and I'm like, I would. I'm a mood reader. A lot of listeners out there like they read romance, sci-fi, thrillers, like graphic
Mm-hmm.
novels. Like I love all of it.
Yeah, no, I'm.
Um, Yes, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, marketing is important, but I also know for
Mm-hmm.
independent authors, not only do you make your own graphics, but you also are editing your book, you're
Yeah.
posting on social media, you're trying to build relationships, you're coming on podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
This book is your baby, and it deserves
Yeah, it's really
respect.
scary.
Yeah, but
It's really difficult.
independent authors, you deserve it. Like you deserve support, 100%. And I hope that, and I hope that you're able to find a platform and you're able to find the love and support you need. Hopefully this podcast gives a little bit of it that you're
We're
able
getting
to
there.
your book more. Yes, because it sounds so amazing. And I'm going to link your Instagram below for everyone and all the listeners to follow so you can just get more updates about her book and all the amazing things. But my last question is, what is
Mhm.
something that you want readers to know about your book?
Okay, I kind of mentioned this a little bit when I was talking about Milo, but I wrote everything in that book for a reason. Every single word that I write, it is written that way because I needed it to be. And that's kind of a fate thing and like a stars thing. But if you don't like a certain character, you're probably not meant to. If you're confused by something, you're probably supposed to be confused. Um, so yeah, everything happens for a reason, basically.
Hey, oh, I love it. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast and
You're so
being on
welcome.
this episode and sharing all the things. When does your book come out?
The 3rd of May.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
creeping up. It's getting really close.
Awesome. I will link your Instagram below so folks can follow you and find out the best way to buy your book, the best place to get it, and your recommendation. But also just to stay updated on like the characters, what's coming
Yeah,
next. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe it'll
we'll find
become an
out.
audiobook or something. I don't know. Maybe become a
Maybe.
graphic novel. I don't know. So I think it's the beautiful thing about like new books coming out and being able to talk to authors before they like blow up on
Yeah.
social media is that like I get to hear directly from you, like what you're most excited for, like
Yeah.
how why you fell in love with your because I wonder if you I guess I am curious when you were writing your book and I know it's taken years, did you write your book and like already know how it was going to end right when you began it, or was it more like you were writing it and you were like following the characters and the end
Mhm.
kind of revealed itself to you?
Yeah. So with the kind of fate aspect and knowing when everyone's going to die, it was kind of difficult not to know how it was going to end.
Mm.
But there's also aspects of it that I kind of was writing. I was thinking, oh, I should add that in at the end. I should
Ooh.
like change this, or maybe I could like. It was more specific lines and specific scenes and stuff that I thought, oh, that one hurts. I'll put that one in there as well.
Awesome. I'm so grateful that you came on here and shared your story with me. I can't
Thank
wait
you.
till When the Stars Align comes out this May. What?
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to read it. And I
Thank you.
thank you so much to everyone who listened. Thank you for coming on my podcast. And
You're
I
so
hope you have a wonderful
welcome.
day. Can
Me
you tell them your
too.
Instagram just so they can follow you, even though it's gonna be
Yeah.
linked though?
So my Instagram is miakate.writes and it's the same on TikTok. So I
Cool.
post the same thing on both platforms though, so it's fine.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for listening. Please subscribe on YouTube and like if you're watching. And then on Spotify, just give us a rating and follow for more. Have a great day. And thank you so much, Mia, for coming on.
Thank you.